Hello, welcome back to Another Angle UK, and glad you can join me on this one. So in this video I'm going to be talking about a fish saver. I'm going to cover these main points. It's like, what is it? Why do we need it? How does it work? How can we make one? Can we see it actually in action? So first of all, what is a fish saver? I have one here. Let's put this a little bit closer so you can actually see. So the fish saver, let me explain. The fish saver helps you take a fish back down to the bottom. Now you might be saying, Phil, why do you want to do that? Well, there are circumstances where those fish blow their swim bladder, or they get blisters on them and they struggle to get back down underwater. What we need to do is get those fish back as quickly as possible. Now, across over in America and the United States, it's actually the law and the regulation that you have a fish saver on your boat or wherever you're fishing that's actually rigged up, ready to use, and that you can take fish back down, and that helps to save them. Now I talk about helping to save them. This is based on research that was actually done by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, NOAA. What they found over a lot of research through tagging fish that have been caught, those fish that were returned quickly to the bottom had a much better chance of survival than the fish that were just chucked back into the sea. Now the difference was something like about 80–85% of those fish that were returned to the bottom actually survived, as opposed to those that were just put back on the surface, and it was less than 20%. If you want to have a look, Google that, NOAA, and you'll get some information about the research that they actually did. So in the States, they've legislated and made sure that people have one of these devices to take fish back down to the bottom. I think that's also the case in some areas of Australia, but not here in the UK. It's up to us as responsible anglers to be looking after our fish and return them to look after the fish stock. If we're not going to take them for the table, give them a good chance of actually going back. Now the fish that are particularly prone to this, and what's actually happening, is something that's very, very similar to what happens with scuba divers, sub-aqua divers. If you're down at depth for a long time and you come straight back up to the surface, you're going to get a bend. All of those air bubbles that were compressed begin to build in your system. It's Henry's law if you want to look it up. The same thing happens with fish, and we see it with things like the Ling, pouting, Pollock. That they tend to be the fish that you'll see this on most. But say a Ling, you'll often see a photograph of them with a swim bladder come out the mouth, and that's because they've come up quite quickly in the water. When we're fishing and we're angling and we're getting a fish out the wreck, we do bring them up quickly, but it's not until they get to the surface that we know what fish it was and think, that's going to struggle to go back. So what we can actually do is recompress the fish by getting it to go back down, and that's where this device comes in. So let me show you how it actually works. I've got my assistant here, my able assistant, Mikey Pikey. Pikes don't live in the sea, I know, but it's the principle of it. So the fish saver that we have, we attach a line to the top swivel here, and we then attach a weight on the bottom end. So there'll be a weight on here, and this spike just here is what we use to attach through the bottom lip of the fish. So once we've got the fish hooked on like this, we then send it down from the surface, wheel it all the way down to the bottom. When we feel the lead hit the bottom, if we give the rod a bit of a jerk, this will come out and the fish is free to swim away. Now in the example that I've got for film, this is one from Gordon. I produced him one of these savers, and he's keeping it on the charter boat, the Rachel May, and he used it on a whiting and sent it all the way back down to 46 metres, and you can just see on the last bit of the film clip where the whiting actually swims away. In this clip you can actually see Gordon's hooked on the whiting, and you'll be able to hear the line going out, and it's dropping down to the 46 metres. I have clipped a little bit of the film out because it seemed an awful long time to watch it hit the bottom, which it's about to do now. So once that lead is on the bottom, Gordon's just given it a little bit of time to recover, and at this point the boat is starting to drift, and any minute now you're going to see Gordon's going to give that rod a big pull, like just there, and off it's being released. Brilliant. Now it's not guaranteed that that fish will be one of the 80% that survives, but it's a whole lot better than it thrashing about on the surface and being a meal for a seagull. I made up 2 of these quite cheaply. This is actually a stainless steel bicycle spoke. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the workshop and we're going to do some wire bending, and I'll just take you through how I actually did this. You can go out and buy one of these. They are quite expensive. They're about £30 just for a piece of metal. So if you're handy with some tools, it's easy enough to create. You could probably do it with stainless steel welding wire, but I chose to use this because it's quite tough, and I think that really helps with something robust on the boat, and can help with taking a fish down. This hook thing doesn't bend out. So that's what we've got. That's what a fish saver is, and I've got one on my boat. I haven't actually used it yet. I decided to make it when I came back from Cornwall this year, because I'd caught a pouting and the poor old thing's eyes bulged a bit, and it wasn't going to go back. I didn't have one of those, and so that pouting was bait for the bull huss and things that I was after. So I'll have that on my boat, and I will be able to send fish back down to the depth, and hopefully that saves them. Gordon, I know, is keeping his on the boat, and that's an example of the Rachel May looking after fish welfare, because after all, it's the fish stocks, it's the thing that we're all going to fish for in the future, so we've got to look after for it, take care of it. It goes back in the best condition that is possible. So let's get out into the garage and let's do some wire bending, and hopefully the rest of the fish can swim off like this one. That's Dee's toy, by the way. It won't last long when she gets hold of it. So here we are in the workshop. Sorry about all the mess, but it is a workshop. So this is our fish saver, and this is what we're going to be making today. It's got a swivel on the top and a clip link for the lead on the bottom. Now I've just been having a look, and I've found myself one of these clips. It is a bit rusty. It's one that I've foraged off the beach. Same as this swivel. Somebody had left them tackle on the beach, and I picked it up, cut the old line off, disposed of that responsibly, and kept a few of the old fittings and beads and bits and bobs. Proper scavenger me. Apologies if you're getting a little bit of light flicker, because we're under fluorescent lights here, so that you will just have to live with that. So we need to be doing some bending, so we're going to need some pliers. Round node pliers will do. Probably need some other pliers just to help twist things. We need to put a bit of a point on for the fish at this end, so it goes through. There, the fish's bottom jaw, so a bit of a file. We actually need the raw material, and in this case it's a bike spoke, so we need to cut this end off with a thread. We don't really need that, and we need to cut the bend off this end, so we'll be doing that in a minute. Obviously we need the saw for that, and got a ruler because we need to measure about halfway along this, and I'll explain why in a minute. The final thing, if you've got something round, and I've got this, just a bit of old bar, I'm going to stick that in the vise, and that helps with twisting things round so you can make your form with this. So I'll just show you how we're going to do that in a minute. So the first thing I've done is just cut that little end off. That's the kind of pit that was at the end of the spoke that goes into the hub, so we don't actually need that. We did have to move the camera to get the saw going at this end, so we need to take off the threaded end. Now we need to divide this in half, and the reason for doing that is that we're going to put our loop, that's this loop here, roughly in the middle. So we'll just measure this. So what have we got there? 29 centimeters approximately, so that'd be 14.5. let's put a mark on there so we know we're about halfway round with that. Next I'm going to get this piece of metal and stick it in the vise here, and I'm hoping that we can use that as our former. So let's move that out the way. If we take that black mark there and put it against our former, we can then begin to create that twist. I should probably have my work gloves on for this, but it's quite soft metal. So that makes that first turn. So now we've got our little loop in there. Onto that loop we're going to put our swivel. So we might just need to open this up a bit to push it through. So just managed to get the swivel on there. So that's the starting point up at the top. So you'll now see that we put a little turn into it, and that just holds all of this in place. So the next thing is to do, we'll pop this in the vise and we'll start to make the shape. One side will come down and we'll create this loop here for putting into the fish. The other side we will go down and put another bend on the bottom and have our rig clip. So if we now pop this into the vise, mind the swivel, but we'll pop that in the vise. We can actually put our twist in like this. And we may just need to finish it off a little bit with the pliers. So right there we've got our little twist in the bottom now, and our swivel is trapped up at the top here. So again, we're going to make one side of this for the going into the fish, and the other side is going to go down and have the attachment on for our weight. So we'll start off by putting a little bit of a bend in here. You'll probably find that you adapt this as you go along, just to either put better bends into it. I'm going to use the pliers now just to do this. So that's our first kind of turn in there. What we want to do is get a twist on the bottom here to put our swivel on. So this thing can go back in the vise. And what we're looking to do is put a turn on here. So if we get the pliers in there, we can just helpfully turn this round. This is where our needle nose has come in. We can begin to put a little twist on there. You can see forming the twist. And a little bit more. And maybe a bit more again so it overlaps. Bit like that. Onto there I'm going to hook this so that I can just quickly hook a lead onto there, and we'll put a little twist in there so that the lead can't come off. As you'll see, my vise has seen better days. It's actually my dad's vise, so it's an old one. So we've got that bit sorted out there. The next bit is to make this kind of curved shape. It's almost a bit like an S here. So we're just going to bend this round. It may need just a little bit of help there. And you see we're starting to get the shape, starting to get it. So just need this to bend just a little bit more. So we'll hold it with the pliers, bend a bit more. So you can see now we've got the proper bend in there. I probably need to take a little bit of length off here, start to put a bit of filing on there. This end of it needs to be turned around just a little bit to make it a bit more secure. So I'm just going to do that now. So let's just see if we can close this up a bit. That's more like it. Brilliant. So that's there. So that's actually given us more of a circle there. That bit's shortened off a bit. So we'll just file this a bit now. So what we're going to be doing is putting a bit of a point on that. So now with this we can open up the clip, we'll put our lead in. This is just a 4-ounce lead, but you probably need 6 or 8 ounces. So we've got the lead attached to the bottom, we've got a clip, we've got a nice ring here, and then we can hook the fish through its bottom lip on here. We've got this swivel at the top here, we'll attach to our rod and reel line with a clip again on the line. As we lower this down, as I demonstrated with Mikey Pikey, you've got your fish on here, the line's taking it down, and when you feel it hit the bottom, give it a sharp pull upwards and the fish comes off the bottom here. So there you are, that's a fish saver. It's quite simple to do. You just need some old bike spokes. I'm sure you've got some lying around, or there's an old bike wheel in the canal, go get it, because stainless steel spokes are what they usually put on those. So there we go, another fish saver. I hope you found this video useful. If you've got a small fishing boat or any fishing boat, or even if you go out on a charter boat, if you can knock up one of these, or you feel you want to buy one, do get one, because hopefully between us we can save a few fish, and that's what it's all about. Hope you found it useful. Let me know in the comments if you've used one before or whether you're actually going to make one. So thank you for watching the video, and tight lines from me, and I hope you get to use these. Bye for now.